Okay. It's going to be interesting. Fundamentally, Donald Trump is doing what he said he would do for his voters, so we can't be shocked about that. Whether you agree with it or not agree with it is a completely different argument. Okay, I come from a country that in the after 1949, after the Second World War, most of our infrastructure and population was depleted to under 50% of what it was back then. I don't know how many million. I can't, you know, throw out numbers. So because the British Empire, remember that Britain went round and tried to dominate the entire world um, by enslaving people under the British Empire. Well, all that crap kind of started falling apart after the UN was developed and all this crap. So England invited everyone that it dominated, dual nationality, and the right to move to England. So I'm 44 years old and I've lived in England since 1973. Now, 2 to 3 generations of people from the empires, or the colonies as we know back then, instead of, I don't mean to sound racist, but I can't bother to list every country that the British Empire tried to dominate, were allowed to come and live here. So that means when I was at school, I went to school with people from Pakistan. I went to school with people from India. I went to people with people from continents of Africa. I went to school with people from China. I went to school with people from Europe. Yeah, it was normal. And most people who've moved to England have westernised to some extent. There's a place down the road that we call Queen's Park that predominantly Indian and Pakistanis. And I do that because loosely termed, because I don't mean it in a detrimental way or in any, most of them sort of live in a certain area, right? And they have in their local shops, they might sell more herbs that they use in their cooking. It's like Polish have moved over here and have set up their own supermarket chains so they can get their foods in this country. Now, whether that's right or wrong is here nor there. That's just been normal for England, right? Everyone will have different views on that. I have no issue with where someone comes from, what colour their skin is, or what nationality they have. The only issue I ever have with immigration is when our country's got to full capacity and there's no more room and things are unstable, so we need to sort the inside out before we invite more people to live here, as we can't look after them either. That's the problem I have with immigration. But terrorism, let's look at terrorism. What is terrorism? Oh, yes, it's a man made load of bullshit to keep control, because the way to control nations are through wars and fear. That way you can keep the sheep doing as you please, right? Now, we all know that 9/11 is quite controversially an inside job, as well as there's other things that have happened that are quite clearly inside jobs. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I suggest you read a book called Shock Doctrine. It explains how governments use the problem reaction solution scenario in order to get people to do what they want. At the end of the day, we don't go to other countries and say, hi, knock on the rack's door. Can we buy some oil? What do you mean? You won't sell it to us at half the price that you get it out of the ground for. We want it at this price. And if you don't do it, we'll make you look stupid on the world stage. And then everyone will go and bomb them! And we'll come and take it ourselves and kill all your wives and children at the same time. Because that's near enough what happened. Okay, let's get fucking clear about it, okay? There are some fucking psychos in the world who fucking go around and do weird fucked up stuff, but not on the level that you've seen on the world stage via the media. Now, the media, no one fucking knows what's going on with the media, because 95% of it is owned by fucking, what's his name, Murdoch. And the other 5% are just government television, so it's very, very difficult to say what is truth and what isn't. But fundamentally, there's one thing that everyone's all missing here. One, we're all human, okay? So being all human, that kind of mentality of other people from other worlds and not trusting them, to me is quite backwards. Doesn't mean that other people aren't going to have that view, and that's their view. They obviously have reasons, right? I can't tell people that they're wrong. In their eyes, they're right. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't stick up for people and speak out and say what you feel, because I think you do. That's freedom. That's freedom of speech, right? What America do is up to America and American people, right? You can show that you support either side. There's no point arguing on the level that's arguing. We shouldn't be getting involved in what they're doing in their country. As long as it's not hurting people. They're not hurting people. They're just saying you can't come in that country. That's a completely different argument again. I'm not saying it's right. Okay, I'm not saying it's wrong. Because each and every one have an individual mind. I think for myself, I personally think it's wrong. Okay? But I can understand why some people have been educated to think that it's right. Okay? Everything's education, isn't it? Now, we can then get on the level of globalism. One world government, one world order, all this crap. Now, to me, that's like, well, everyone bangs on about culture. And culture's from a group of people that have been socialising here, and their surroundings have helped mould their culture. Okay? You then bring other people in, you have different cultures because over there it is different, or over here it is different. Now that's like kind of evolution in a way, and I think a lot of us struggle with it because it's a change. It's like as if it's hard to describe, but globalisation is inevitable at the end of the world, end of the day. And people were, banging on about different cultures, different colours and whatever else. And a lot of the people who live in England now, who are from, like, say for argument's sake, Pakistan or India, you notice it more so with the Pakistanis because they wear more clothes. But their skin, they've got that pigmentation thing. And that's because they're not getting enough vitamin D, so the skin gets lighter. There is some dyeing and stuff go on because of this fucking white supremacy shit, but having lighter skin just means that you burn easier if you live on the equator. And if you don't, then you don't burn as much because you need to make the vitamin D. Vitamin D is important, but you also need protection because it can burn and harm you. You don't want too much vitamin D. So that's why people who live on the equator have got darker skin. It's a protection. Nothing else. People have different shaped eyes because they live in a desert, or fundamentally. It's all to do with evolution. So to me, I just don't. Why is everyone getting so fucking angry about everything? Like, we're all human. Just why don't we just learn to get on? I think the biggest problem with what's happened with Trump, because Trump's got this bad name by the media, and not everything he's done is bad. The Dakota pipeline, he needs to go round that like he's promised and spend the extra money and not cause the problems and not go through it like the last government, or not the government before, the company that it is trying to do. There should be no risk of water pollution, and if there is, he shouldn't be doing it, really. Now, the transatlantic whatever agreement, let's get rid of that. That's part of the New World Order, plan. But it's really, really difficult to argue a toss about how government should be and how policies should be and how countries should be, where none of us really have the solution. At the end of the day, if everyone was just nice and shared, then we wouldn't be in this place. But then you'd have a stagnant world because utopia would go stagnant. You need a bit of, sometimes you need to be negative in order to be constructive, because without a negative thought, you would never have a construction. So I suppose you always need a bit of conflict. You need a bit of... But religion, what the fuck are we arguing about that for? Sun goes up, sun goes down. Sun goes up, sun goes down. It's seasons. It's when to harvest, when to put the seed in the ground, and how long your days are. That's it. That's all religion is, right? So all this other shite is just fads that people are arguing about. And it's like, sun goes up, sun goes down, As far as I'm concerned, it's a fucking holodeck, okay? It's a holodeck. There you go. Oh, that's a bit far out there. Can't think of that. Is that a religion Oh, the screen's gone dark now. I can't see what I'm doing. But people just need to sort of, I don't know, at the end of the day, right, look at it like this. If you're from a country, you're going over to America. America isn't that great then if you're from Iraq. If you feel penalised by it, don't fucking go there. I'm not saying it's right, but that would be the attitude I had if I come from one of those countries and was going to go to. Why would I want to go to a place that thinks that of people? Is that backward, or that particular government is backward on that? Now, a lot of people, you can't blame people for having those thoughts though, because at the end of the day, that's their culture, their background, they've got the information from things, I come from a country that's always been multicultural on a level that it's never been a fear for me. But I haven't lived in America. I don't know what it's like to live in America. I have no idea. So I've got no right to really say how and why people are the way they are out there with certain issues. Like how we are with certain things in this country. They probably think, God almighty, Great Britain's so backward on that. It happens. At the end of the day, we just need to start sharing and be nice. I don't know. I haven't got all the answers. I just know that it's just like a distraction, maybe. What are they up to? What is going on? Because the establishment recently, the New World Order, the powers of be, have had a kick up the arse from Britain with the Brexit thing and America with Trump. And France is going through a little bit of controversy. What's going on? Is it the start of the revolution? Or do they want you all to kick off so they can enforce martial law because it'd be easier to have one world government, one world order? That's when a non-compliance is necessary and humankind help each other and not serve the elite, the people who don't want to, It's so deep, it's so complex. I don't know what else to say. But peace, love and light and shit, yeah.
This is no simple reform. It really is a revolution. Sex and race, because they are easy, visible differences, have been the primary ways of organizing human beings into superior and inferior groups, and into the cheap labor on which this system still depends. We are talking about a society in which there will be no roles other than those chosen or those earned. We are really talking about humanism. We are really talking about humanism. primary ways of organizing human beings into superior and inferior groups, and into the cheap labor on which this system still depends. We are talking about a society in which there will be no roles other than those chosen or those earned. We are really talking about humanism. We are really talking about humanism.
Damn.
Oh.
Are you still rolling?
Yeah.
Is this the... That's kind of the end then. Bye.